Hello everyone. Very good day to all of you and welcome back to APIs Everywhere series. Today I'll be discussing about consumer data rights standards in Australia. In last previous few videos we have discussed about the changes API is bringing in the banking landscape in Australia, and we discussed about more about NPP, the new payment platform. New payment platform is more about bringing a fast payment service, always on payment service, and easily addressable payment service to Australian customers. Now, what is the consumer data right then? Okay, so new payment platform is more about the real-time payment service. It's not the open banking. Consumer data rights is intended to making the rule, making the correct rule to open up customer data from various organizations. So if you see, consumer data right doesn't only cover banking sector, it intends to cover energy, telecommunication, and other sectors of economy in near future. So in 2017, Australian government decided to bring a law so that consumer can share their data securely and in a more efficient way to the providers who needs their data. To bring that into an action, they brought a standard which is called Consumer Data Right Standard. So in 2020 July, the banking sector needs to provide the first phase of this consumer data rights. In fact, the banking is there. In the next phase is energy and telecommunication sector will be there. So in July 2020, all the banks needs to provide their customers credit card and debit card data, as well as their transactions account data to the third party provider. Okay, after that in 2020 November, the data about mortgage and loans needs to be provided to the third party provider. So there are multiple parties involved here. If you see, one is a data provider like bank, one is the customer whose data is going to be provided, and the third is a accredited data aggregator. So the data aggregator, the party who will need the data with the customer's consent. So first, to get the data, the third party needs to take consent from the customer, what data it needs to be accessed and how it's going to be accessed. Once the consent has been provided, the data will be fetched from the data provider like bank, again through APIs, because APIs are going to act as a rail here where data will transfer, through which data will be transferred, and that consent will be presented to customer again from the data provider, so that customer can authorize that it is the consent which he or she has provided, and then only the data will be shared. And again the data will be shared for a limited time period using a token. One good thing about this consumer data right, it is a binding for the organizations, for the sector to expose their data following this standard. Not only banking, the other sector will also come in under this purview. A unique thing about the consumer data right, I would not say unique thing, in the future we'll see more about this kind of stuff in different regulation, in different geography as well. But from Europe, your open banking standard, consumer data rights has learned a lesson, and they have not only they have come with the API standard, they have come with the customer or consumer experience standard and consumer experience guideline as well. Ultimately, consumer data right or customer data right is all about, CDR is all about making data transfer, data sharing for the consumers easy, transparent, and not with their only with their consent the data can be shared. So this consumer experience standards it provides a guideline to the third party provider or the apps who is going to use that those APIs, how they need to define, how they need to align their app in as per the given consumer standard format, so that all the information which is going to be shared from a data provider to the third party can be transparent to the consumer. Nothing can be hidden from the consumer, and the journey of the consumer experience or customer experience should be smooth, transparent, and wherever the customer is providing the consent, it is proper, he or she knows for what he is providing consent. So the consumer experience guidelines and consumer experience standard are something which I would say new in this part of the world, with Australia, CDR in the Australia, which is bringing to the open banking table. We'd see more about that in the later videos. I would be discussing about the APIs which is being exposed by CDR and what are the consumer data rights and consumer experience standards prescribed by CDR. Till then, bye bye, see you.